Mr. G. This week is midterms, and I know we were out last week. My bad. Again, I apologize. Totally out of my control. Well, not really out of my control, just overdid, but I was out. There was nothing I could do. I was in bed for the week. So this week, it's midterms. I've assigned you an essay for your midterm exam. And what I want you to do with that essay is I want you to go back, and I got some tips on there on how to do an essay, 5-paragraph essay. It's what I'm looking for. It's an essay, not a term paper. So instead of being, 10, 15 pages, I'm looking for a 5-paragraph essay. So there's no reason why everybody can't complete it. There is a due date of October the 8th. Still not feeling well. Well, August the 12th came from, I don't know. October the 8th at midnight is when it's due. That's Saturday midnight. I added a Grammarly.com link on there, which is a website you can add to your PC for free that'll help you write an essay. I also linked in there a written format on how to do a good essay. For the topic, I want you to go back and look at the first weeks, the previous weeks of this semester, and pick a topic out of there, whether it be solitary confinement. If you went and watched Murder on the First, if you want to write about Murder on the First and the issues with prison management, solitary confinement, organizational drift, all the things that went on in that movie, you can do it. Just make sure when you write it, you're not just writing on the movie, but you go back and you look at those links I added on Henry Young as well, so you can get some of the factual data, because the movie was accurate to a point, did a good job of displaying the issues, but it wasn't, it's like 60% accurate. So anyway, if you write on that, if you write on Murder on the First, get the Henry Young links I added in there. You can write about suicide by cop and the issues there. And with suicide by cop, what I want you to do is when I do those issues, if you do suicide by cop, make sure you look at it, and you look at it from a law enforcement, criminal justice perspective, because I'm reading through your discussion boards and things like that. I haven't been at them because it's just like your opinions and stuff like that. I'll let you guys talk about what you want to talk about. I don't want to stop you a whole lot because I want there to be free thought in there. But with suicide by cop, if you've never been in that situation, there's not a whole lot you can do. If you just walk up on those, somebody's already predetermined that they're either going to kill you or you're going to have to kill them. There's not like less than lethal alternatives. There's not talking these people down normally. A lot of times you're going to get up there and it's going to happen. You're going to have to react, and that means you're going to have to use lethal force on this person. Depends on what they have. If they have a baseball bat and they're going to come after you with a baseball bat and stuff like that, then yeah, maybe you could tase them. Maybe you have a lot of backup. You guys just jump them. If there's 6 people sitting around, then yeah, all 6 of you, and you say, hey, let's just jump this guy, jump him and handcuff him and get him to the hospital and get him checked out. But, odds are it's going to be somebody with a gun or a knife, and they want to die. So they're going to have something that they think is going to make you kill them, and they're already going to have the situation thought out. If you saw the situation with the guy who stole the 2 soda pops and put the cans on the sidewalk and waited, and he told those people wait, and they agged him on. Those people were agging him on until the police got there and killed him. He told them what was going to happen, and he had already predetermined, now I'm going to get this knife and I'm going to charge them until they kill me. You're not going to stop that. Here's what you need to think about from a law enforcement perspective. And you need to think about this from the officer perspective, is that police officer has a right to go home at night too. Yes, the public has rights, but you know what? Police officers have rights too. And that means that police officer has the right not to have to be shot before he can defend himself, or not to have to be stabbed before he can defend himself, or not have to have the teetotal crap beat out of him until he can defend himself. police officers have the right to use lethal force if the situation arises. That's why they're issued firearms, so that they can use that lethal force if the situation is needed. So when we look at suicide by cop, I want you to look at the fact that it's a tragic situation. It's an extremely current situation. Go onto the internet, try to figure out what's the statistics. How many suicide by cop incidents happened in 2014? If you can get the data on it, where they can it was actually written up as a suicide by cop. And then think about what you would do in that situation and write that way. And I think a lot of times we get into the profession and we're still thinking on the broad perspective of an outsider looking at it. Even with my wife, I was arguing with my wife about it the other day. Because I was just like, you can't, if you can't not do that. And of course, my background. I was paramilitary special operations with the CIA, so I've been in tons of situations where, when there's people trying to kill you, and it's your life or theirs, you better react right, or odds are you're not going to make it home. And the people who hesitate don't make it home. I used to tell my guys when I was a chief of police, I tell them at the end of the day, go home to your wife and kids. And we had a saying that's it's better to be tried by 12 than carried by 6. I'd rather have to go to court and defend why I thought it was right to use lethal force than to be the one laying dead on the street. Even if when you look at suicide by cop, I want you to do some internet research and look at the fact that, there's been at least 2 documented cases where people were killed recently where they had social media data showing that they were going to commit suicide by cop in hopes that the Black Lives Matters movement would get it and take off with it. So they would die, they would boost this cause, and everybody would know their names. They would be greater than self if they got killed by a cop for Black Lives Matters. Look, some of you are going, no, Mr. G, that didn't happen. I don't believe you. Look, Google it. Look, do the data and dig all into the story. Don't just read 1 or 2 articles. Get the whole story about what's going on there. But that's a problem these guys are going to have to start facing. They're going to have to look at, okay, is this guy wanting to martyr himself for the cause? And what's going to happen, and when you get to the situation, I want you to start Googling, too, some of these people who are some of the activists and those reporters and all that, where they're bringing them in now, and they're putting them through simulators in don't shoot situations, and these people are walking away going, holy crap, I would have shot innocent people, because when not reacting could be your life, you're going to tend to react. So anyway, I want you to look into that. Something we haven't talked about yet, but I'm going to open it up for you guys to write on for midterm. So it means you're going to have to do independent research, but I'm going to pick up on it in the second half, is police officer suicide rates. Documented. Now, here's the thing you don't worry about with police officer suicides, is they're police officers. If they commit suicide, they don't get their benefits. They don't get their life insurance, all that kind of stuff. Families are out in the cold, So a lot of times they'll get their pension if they have one, but they're not going to get life insurance. Police officers' pension is really nothing. So a lot of suicide by cop or police officer suicides aren't documented suicides because police officers try not to, if they cannot, or anyway. Look into the rate of suicides by police officers. On average, about 150 police officers a year that commit suicide with their own service weapons. And I want you to look into that and what may cause that. What's the issues? What's the PTSD of that? And start looking at the psychology of being a police officer and these stress situations where, you go in and you go into a shoot, don't shoot situation. Nowadays, you're not only thinking about, when it was mine, we didn't have, I had dash cams, and dash cams saved my life. Even back in the when our dash cam was this huge box, it was basically a VCR. It was a big VCR mounted in the back of the police car with a whopping camera mounted on the dash. That I put them in all my cars back when people didn't have them. And it was basically homemade deals that you did yourself, and it was a video camera recording, and hopefully the officers had the windows down, would pick up video. And then eventually we got them that had the body mics, and then, on up. But you're getting videoed all the time now, so you're getting don't shoot. You're not even worried about losing your life. You're worried about losing your job, because what happens if, you go in there and you're trying to do the right thing and you're trying to protect yourself, and then the media gets a hold to it and it's totally misconstrued, and all of a sudden the public's calling for your career, and it's out on CNN and everything else, and there was no malice in anything you did, but now your career's shot and everybody knows your name. You're not going to work in law enforcement again, and that can happen, and I want you to look into that some. So, but do your research. Let me know if you have any issues. I'm sorry I seem kind of scattered. I'm still kind of out of it. I feel kind of rough still. But if you have any questions, let me know. Only 5 paragraphs. Pick your topic from the first of the semester. I should have aids in there to help you out. And it's due by Saturday midnight. Okay? Hit me up if you need anything. That's all you got to do this week. Next week, we're going to pick up on courses, even though it's the break. We got to keep going on and do a lot more stuff. Okay? All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.